Hi, I'm Tegan Graham, a.k.a. The Better Graham, and this is the DU Football Show.
I know she texted y'all.
No, she didn't text me. I just decided to go with that one.
Okay, she told me she was going to text you.
No, I didn't get a text from her at all.
All right, good.
So I just decided to go with that instead.
Nice.
I just thought, nice little dig for you,
Thanks.
Because your daughter wanted to learn how to play poker, and I financed her as opposed to you because, you're a bad father. It's just
I got
how
3
things
kids
go.
to feed.
Well, let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston?
Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Smell the malort. Look straight in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Fucking United! Fucking United!
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the other half of the English Premier League's action is told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Houston, and fresh off of paying me $80 on Venmo, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham. How you doing, bud?
Doing very well because I bought a bunch of Spirit Airlines stock dirt cheap on Tuesday when everything was the ass end was falling out of it. So I made $300 today.
I would hurry up and sell that because it's going to be worth a penny in a few days.
As I'm getting there. Yeah. I think we'll give it one more day, see how it goes.
Yeah.
By the way, patreon.com/DU Football Show. That $300 only keeps us alive for 2 more weeks.
As they did on...
we need your sustained and concerted effort to keep the show going. Thank you very much.
Did on SNL for Alaska Airlines for the window falling out. They were like, consider it the adventure ride now. We'll just won't have a roof.
Adventure park,
right,
yeah.
or anything like that. And the very end of it, Alaska Airlines. Hey, we're still better than Spirit. And of course, on the ones and twos, producer Mel. How you doing over there, producer Mel?
Pretty good. I like the tagline, Alaska Airlines, but you didn't die.
Yeah.
Nobody died. Nobody died.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Alaska Airlines. We've all lost a shirt before. We're recorded at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, streaming live every single Monday night. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Of course. It's at DU Football Show on all the social medias and dufootballshow at gmail.com to get in touch via email.
Very good. And, of course, not just all the other socials, of course, TikTok as well.
Yes,
and,
TikTok, we're there.
X and Instagram.
You see Big Sam doing a dance maybe one day soon?
Maybe, only if you're lucky. But there's only one person I know in this room that I've seen do a TikTok dance, and neither one of them have the last name Houston. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham going back in the list because we finally got it in.
Yes.
And it fortunately came in today. Tell us all about it. Doing a little Irish today.
We are. By way of Portland, it's Ranier. That's the first of many references. This is the green spot, Quails Gate, coming in at number 16. This is the one that we had to skip a couple of weeks ago because it hadn't come in yet. So here we go. You're at 92 proof on this one. That's 46% by volume for those of you counting at home. Should run you roughly $70 on the shelf, according to the Advocates' suggested retail price. Got a panel rating of 93 points and is an Irish single pot still. Your blurb comes from David Fleming this week of the Whisky Advocate tasting panel. This green spot expression is the third bottling in its Wine Geese series, a tribute to the Irish diaspora. That it's finished for 16 months in Pinot Noir casks from British Columbia winemakers Quails Gate, owned by the Stewart family, whose ancestors emigrated from Ireland to Canada over a century ago. There's nice spiciness on the nose, followed by a palette of abundant spice flavors, along with red apple, cherry, berries, candied orange, lemon, and vanilla. The spice isn't quite done yet, as it punctuates a pleasantly balanced finish. Now, I will say that I don't necessarily agree entirely with that palate. Spiciness, yes, but I get more like honey.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you.
I get citrus. I get some lemon in there.
But it might just be the way that orange, what he describes as orange and vanilla, maybe kind of playing together with that spiciness where I come up with honey. But it just tasted more like honey to me.
So this
like
is
fresh honeycomb.
This is the third time I've had a whiskey done in Pinot Noir casks. The first one I ever had was when Woodford did their master collection. They did a Sonoma-Cutrer Pinot Noir because, those you don't know, owned by Brown Forman. Brown Forman owns Sonoma-Cutrer along with Woodford Reserve. And then the second one would be the Pinot Noir cask from Westward. And then this would be the third. So each time it has been a different base, right? So the case of the Woodford, it's a corn base primarily.
Yep.
In the case of the Westward, it's 100% barley. In the case of this is a pot still. It is 70% barley and then 30% column stilled neutral spirit. And that barley, by the way, has to be through a pot. It has to be through a copper pot still.
Right.
I'm getting fruit and sweet. I'm not getting dry and earth like I got from Westward, right? So when I think Pinot Noir, I don't think jammy, sweet, or fruity. I think more subtle fruit tones, more earth notes, right? That's typically what you get from a Pinot Noir. Whereas if I'm doing, say, a Cabernet or a Syrah, those tend to be jammier, and those I expect that bigger fruit too. So,
see, my experience with traditional still wine finished whiskeys, I always find them to be much hotter than most others, and a lot of times that fruit doesn't necessarily develop for me.
yeah.
I think back to the Pritchard's Hill Cabernet cask finished Jeffersons that we had a few years ago. It just almost felt like the proof was super intense in the star rather than the cask finish. The Pinot Noir cask finish from Westward was a bit drier.
Much drier.
Yeah. But conversely, when we do a fortified wine finish, a sherry or a port, you and I tend to agree, at least in most cases, that the desserty qualities of those fortified wines tends to affect the whiskey a bit more. So you get a bit more of that chocolate or that almond, sort of kind of dark, ripe fruit really stands out in those whiskeys versus traditional still wine finished whiskeys.
Well, the Old Elk that we had just recently had.
Right, exactly.
You really got
or
that.
That 18-year-old whistle pig that Justin bought.
Yeah, that very plummy kind of flavor to it as well. Very.
Yep.
It's don't get me wrong. I like it. I'm just comparing the three, and so far there hasn't really been a consistent thread on them.
Yeah.
Other than with the Westward one, I felt like it was more representative of the wine barrel that you're using. Pinot Noir is a very specific wine. It's a very tricky wine. It's not.
And depending where the grapes grown, depending on that terroir, whether it be Old World or New World, is completely different. I mean, you think of Russian River Valley Pinot Noirs versus Burgundy Pinot Noirs, and there's much more earthiness.
Versus Willamette.
Right, and green pepper snap that you get off of that French versus the kind of dryness and more fruit forward, a bit more robust that you would get from a Russian River Valley versus the uber soft and fruit forward Willamettes.
Right. Well, now the other thing too is I think maybe going up to, because this is British Columbia, that probably that little bit of colder climate probably
and shortens the growing season as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, very good. I mean, I'm glad we were able to get our hands on it because it was
a good whiskey. Don't get us wrong by any means. I actually quite enjoy it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It just, you're absolutely right. When you go, and you're right to compare the three. Some of it has to do with the grain as well. But when you go through a still wine cask finish, you're going to get something wildly differently across different whiskeys.
Yeah.
Versus you see port or sherry finish, you're going to have a pretty consistent flavor profile.
Well,
and this is also, just, as you say, just totally different from the other couple we've experienced.
Also would say this one's going to be more representative of Westward as well because it's at a minimum 70%
Right.
malted barley.
Yep.
To the 100% malted barley. So there's at least a little bit more of an apples to apples comparison, I guess you could say.
And maybe that's where you get a little bit of that sweetness too, is because they do use some corn.
Yep, could be the case.
You know?
And it's, it's also, I haven't had a bad spot yet. Like the green spot's great, blue spot's great, yellow spot's great, red spot's great. Like they're all fucking great.
I was going to say most of that's because Mel edits it out, but
very good. Oh, what else do we also have to do, Mr. Graham?
Always remember to drink responsibly.
All righty, cheers.
Cheers.
Mel? There we go. Mel's even got a glass today.
So, Brian, Graying Sideburns, is already wondering, Graham, what is the stock value for a DU football show?
We're not publicly traded yet. We're still a privately run company. Thank you very much. We may do an IPO starting at about $2,000 a share.
Okay, take the 0, multiply it by the 0, carry the 1. Zippy.
0.
It's a big fat fucking zippy. A lot more goals this week's completion of the fixture 21. Where we're just gonna do it just like we did last week. We're gonna go right in order.
Was that a sentence?
Yeah,
A lot more goals this completion of the 21 week.
Yeah. Well, words are hard. Words are hard. Arsenal 5, Palace 0, Brentford 3, Nottingham Forest 2, West Ham 2, Sheffield 2, Liverpool 4, Bournemouth 0, Brighton 0, Wolverhampton 0.
Boo.
Yeah, because it was right on time for you there. I didn't even put the score in, but you know what? It's not wrong. I just wrote the names.
Yeah, and the game was about as worth that.
They didn't score any goals. No.
We'll talk about it in a minute.
Yeah, for some reason, Scott is McMullen is in the chats, and he is excited for the Brighton game because he's already got commentary on it.
Huh? He got to sit down and watch it today.
Yeah, I got to sit down
Slow
and
day
watch
at the
it
office today, Scott. You're able to just kick back up the feet and watch. Don't worry, it was a slow day at the office for me too. So
Same over here, and I actually went out and worked.
yeah,
Still
precisely.
quite slow.
Goals galore for the Gunners, Mr. Graham.
Yeah, but it was a really weird game. In a sense, Arsenal dominated, but they didn't look that dangerous, to be honest. And none of our forwards, besides the Trossard goal, I don't think Saka or Jesus registered a shot on target.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was all Gabriel from the set piece, obviously. He got the 2 towering headers. One of them obviously carooned off the back of Dean Henderson's head, probably because he didn't have that. He didn't have that hat on, Mel. You loved him in so much.
Still think that was going in the goal.
So do I. I think he's a little bit hard done to not receive a second goal bonus for that. But
by the way, it's Nicole that really dug the hat. You keep wanting to think my wife has a love affair with Dean Henderson. No, Nicole did.
They're the same person.
Okay, fine.
One of them's just a little more tan, Sam. That's it.
And has bigger boobs.
Mm-hmm.
But they're both eventually going to be married to you, so it doesn't matter. They'll both be my sister-in-law at some point. But it was a really strange game in that kind of respect. I mean, we had like 70% of the ball. We pretty much shut down Eze, which was good to see. But it was just really funny. They did only have one shot on target less than us. I think it finished 6-5 in terms of shots on target in our favor. But they weren't terribly dangerous. I think I only saw David Raya at full stretch once.
Yeah. Well, that was because he fucked it off.
Right, exactly. Because he screwed it up to begin with. Yeah. But that throw for the counterattack, I mean, just hitting, I believe it was Odegaard, just in stride perfectly on the halfway line was fucking brilliant. Now, it was a kind of a comical fall over at the end.
I want everybody to see right here, it says, Raya, the good, the bad.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to bring up was the fuck up that he had to make a brilliant save on. And then the really great distribution that went, oh, that's why we have that fucker in the net.
Simpatico.
Yeah, right there. Something
I brought the points up in the order that you wanted me to.
So, then these two things I'm going to kind of put together. The lineup looked normal, right?
Yeah.
So it finally looked like your normal starting lineup. Your normal guys were healthy. Your normal guys were good to go. So you're able to then use your bench the way you want to.
Yes.
The only thing that was different about it is that Trossard started over Martinelli, which is very fair because, frankly, Martinelli hasn't been fucking scoring. And it worked because Martinelli fucking scored 2.
And Trossard scored.
Yeah. And I would also say you were talking about how it didn't look very convincing. It's also because Palace really helped you because all three of those goals for no fucking reason should have ever happened if they had decided, I don't know, to cover people and play defense or care or try or anything at all. Like, you guys just walked it down the field.
Was it the Trossard goal was the brilliant counterattack, correct? Yeah. The two Martinelli goals, I mean, the one thing he has been is full of running, and he's always been a brilliant outlet, whether or not he's scoring goals or not.
Right.
What I would be concerned if I was a Palace supporter, and Brad should be concerned, is that it was essentially the carbon copy of he scored the same goal twice.
Exactly what I was about to say. Again, simpatico, my friend.
The same exact goal 2 times. And if you as a professional footballer, if you get done, and then you get done again, literally 90 seconds later, in the exact same way, you're just not paying attention. You just haven't learned anything.
As we talked about on the EFL show last week, that happens in League 2 4 times from the same side
goal.
of the field.
Yeah, exactly.
That doesn't happen in the Prem. That's a fucking problem. And that is either one of two things. Ineptitude as a player, which they've got a fairly decent defense. They've got a fairly decent team. Or a disconnect from the game and a disconnect from the coach, which unfortunately, I think we are hitting that point with Roy.
But you also have to look at it was 3-0 by that point. Both of Martinelli's goals were in stoppage time.
Yeah.
I think Palace was just in the locker room mentally.
Right.
I don't think that was necessarily a Roy coached them into those 2 mistakes.
No, I don't think it was Roy coached them into.
I just think it was the lack of. I just think they had 3-0 down. It's the 90th minute. We're obviously not clawing 3 goals back.
Right.
Eze's good. We ain't that good. So fuck it. Like, we're just done. And but they left themselves open. It was just stupid.
But as a coach, you're probably sitting there on the sidelines and you're saying, all right, boys, just see it out. Come on. No more goals. No more shots. No shots. Yeah. We're just going to hold on to the ball. No shots for them. No shots for them. Boom. Quick fall asleep at the wheel goal. You'll be like, come on, boys. We got that. Like, to then do the exact same fuck thing. That just means you as a coach are saying shit to your players on the pitch. Ain't fucking listening, man. Yeah. They ain't fucking listening. Like, they don't care. Like,
I mean, how many of them speak owl?
Yeah, very true.
But the other thing, it was actually quite a sad sight. He's obviously, Roy is a very widely respected coach. He's coached in a multitude of countries. One of the first Englishmen to leave the English shores and have a successful overseas career in both Scandinavia and Italy.
Besides saying this,
like we say in Portugal, bread is bread and cheese is cheese.
He said, Roy's our boss.
I think he coached in Italy.
He said, Roy is our boss.
Yeah.
He's our boss.
Exactly.
Like,
I mean, everybody loves Roy Hodgson. He's a lovely man.
The man that shows no respect to no one, Jose Mourinho, shows respect to fucking Roy.
Yeah. And he's a bit feisty. He goes underrated as a feisty character. I mean,
well, because now he's the older guy. Oh, look, he's just the nice, soft guy. Well, like, he still says shit. He still gets very feisty in pressers.
That's exactly right.
Taylor says, sounds like the Palace players don't give a hoot about Roy's tactics.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry, he was late to the party with that joke.
They're on delay.
Fair. So but it goes. I mean, this was a guy that got asked a question at a press conference, and he turned around and said, "Hey, let's not take the piss here." Like actually, technically cursing at a journalist. So he goes underrated as feisty, and because he's older now, 70 odd years old, oldest manager in the Premier League, probably record will last for quite a while. To see the Palace supporters unfurl those banners at the end and the camera to kind of pan that, and then to see him looking a little distraught on the sidelines, and then the camera that's kind of in the tunnel to show him looking directly at it from behind, and then to show his face again. It was just a little sad. Just kind of got me in the feels, And I heard it today, and it was a good point. I didn't think about it at the time, but somebody said that why it was so unspecific, that banner, not like hashtag Roy out, like most times when people are pissed off. It was very vague, The sign just like ineptitude on and off the pitch is all it said. It didn't call out a specific person or players or coach or whoever. Was because they do respect Roy, but there has to be some sort of a succession plan here. There has to be some idea that he's fucking old now, man.
Is it Graham Potter? Because he was in the stands.
Well, that's, could be. He likes the project. He likes working with younger players. Mm-hmm. Palace now have a lot of that. Yeah. And it could be the young hip coach that's coming in that's able to get them all back on side and playing well rather than the 77-year-old or 78-year-old, whatever.
Well, the
he
other
is.
problem is you also couple that with the fact that of those young hip players, Decore's hurt and Elise is hurt again.
Right.
Like that fucking when all they have is Eze, it's very easy to hone in on Eze like it was with Zaha.
Yeah, which we
you
did.
hone
exactly.
in on Zaha, you could shut him down. That's exactly what's fucking happening to him right now. Do we think they're in real trouble?
I think there are 3 worse teams than them. And I think even if Roy stayed, I think that they would survive. Can they get sucked into it? Absolutely. If Elise can't get fit and stay fit, I think they're in trouble.
Yeah, they're only 3 ahead of no, I'm sorry. They are
5.
one.
I think it's 5
no, they're
points.
1 ahead of Forest, and they're 4 ahead of Everton, and then 5 ahead
of the drop.
Luton.
Yep.
And Everton's playing well enough, and Everton ain't gonna give.
That's until you get your second points deduction.
Well, Everton,
same thing.
Very true. Everton doesn't give up goals. That's the one key thing you can look at them and say they do not typically get scored on. They lead the league in shutouts, and they are the masters of 1-0 wins. Right?
I mean, Pickford doesn't get scored on.
Right.
Everton would without him.
Yeah, very true. Yes, they would. Yeah. And you couple that with
That's true.
Forest will get to them, but they did get the new manager with Nuno, and that is someone who has experience of being down and around it and how to fight a way out of it too. So it's like you could very easily see those 2 teams jumping Palace, and where are their kids' heads at when suddenly you're now the team that's a point out of the drop.
Right. Yeah. No, fair enough.
Honestly, their next game.
What you would hope is that those kids they're too young and dumb to be scared.
Right. That's what you hope for.
Right. And they don't let that affect them because they've never experienced it. They don't know what it is. Now, the flip side to that is they could be a Patrick Bamford case who's too posh to know because they've only come up in the Premier League.
Right.
And they've never put in the hard yards in the Championship, or what I know as they played for QPR or whoever it was. But a lot of them don't know lower league football.
Mm-hmm.
So there's every possibility that they're spoiled.
And the last thing to mention with them too is their next game, right? They're not playing this weekend for the FA Cup because we eliminated them, but with a very sexy goal.
Here's another weird thing. So Hodgson in the post match, he substituted Eze in that match at halftime, I think, and to booze from the Palace
it was about
supporters.
the 60th minute mark.
Okay. To booze from the Palace supporters. And afterwards, he was like, yeah, well, he's got to rest. He had to rest him. He's got a game this week. Well, then don't play him at all.
Right.
Don't play him at all.
Right.
Why'd you play him? What you're saying is, it's still 0-0. We don't have a chance here. We got to play Arsenal at the weekend.
Yeah.
And if we don't have him, we're fucked.
Yeah.
Anyway,
you had him
so
and
he's our only chance.
But the big one, what I was getting to, the big one for them is on Tuesday, they have Sheffield United at home. And Sheffield, not for nothing. I mean, I still think they're going down. They're playing better football.
They are playing a little bit better under Chris Wilder.
Palace
That's
is
true.
not playing good football.
No. I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
That's very true. I mean, and Palace have a tough old run these next few weeks, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So let's move it on. Tony's back. Tony is back.
Yeah. And if I was a betting man,
I knew that was coming.
I would have bet that he'd score. Now, the only reason I wasn't able to put that in my bet last week, and I had to add the stupid Brighton game to my bet, was because it was too early to add the goal scorer markets.
Whatever excuse you need to make yourself.
It's fucking annoying because I knew he was going to score. You knew he was going to score. Everybody knew he was going to score. It was a match made in heaven. What I didn't expect, and probably the highlight of the game for me, was the WWE-style entrance music and everything else they gave him.
Oh, I know.
That was fucking weird, wasn't it?
Mel was talking about that. She was showing me the video. It was like, this is for one player. I'm like,
It was almost good, and I thought she may have written it for them.
a little nod to Mel's past. She's not paying attention because she's talking to people on the internet. It's okay, Graham. She's not going to listen to every one of your jokes. It's okay.
It was pretty good, though.
Okay, well, she doesn't care.
I was trying to pull it up, but I wasn't cued because I was trying to rush because you guys were calling me out.
Or maybe she was producing something. How about that?
That's a surprise.
Yeah. This is actually great knowing that Scotty's watching right now. We'll go ahead and talk about it. Was it the wall's fault or was it Turner's fault?
All right, so all of the above. Everything about the situation was kind of shit.
Yeah.
Did Ivan Toney technically cheat? Yes.
Huh.
The reason he says you
He has
get
a history with it.
He said no, he doesn't. Is it history? Parlay of moving the ball and the foam is all I'm saying.
Yeah, there we go.
So technically, yes, he cheated because when he came out in the post match, it was like, yeah, I mean, you're allowed a yard either side. That's bullshit. That's not written anywhere. He just completely made that up. Right. Are referees very specific to the exact spot? No. However, if he truly believed that you got a yard either side, why move the foam?
Right.
Because it was very clearly the foam was about 2 feet wide.
Right.
And if you move the ball outside the foam, that would still be within a yard either side of the foam.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think you're doing the right thing, why move the foam?
Right. Precisely.
Where I fault
and his players are blocking and talking and making while he does it.
Right. Where I fault the Brentford wall, everybody's looking at him.
Right.
Not one person tried to signal the referee. Not one person tried to protest it. Not one person took the responsibility to step to the left. Am I supposed to listen to you? Yeah. I played in front of you as a defender.
Right.
And you were a goalkeeper. Am I supposed to listen to you say to the right? Yes, I am. But if he moves the ball to the left, I'm going to go, hey, fucking take a half step left.
Right. Well, and also the first two players in the wall have a very specific job. The first one, his job is to be turned around with his back looking right at the goalie as the goalie is telling him, move this way, move this way,
move that way.
You're good.
Right.
The one right next to him has his arm connected to him and is to watch what the fuck is going on in front of him to go, hey, they're moving, or hey, they're doing this,
right.
or they move the ball a little, stay here, don't move. They're,
exactly.
And so all of that being said, but then also
Matt Turner should notice what's happening and move and tell the ball to move.
Yeah.
As well.
What's going on up there? Can't see. One of my most famous things to see.
I can't see.
Can't see.
Yep.
And then you guys know.
Step up.
Fucking step up.
Or fucking
say
get out of the way.
something, make some noise, let me know what's going on, because if I can't see it and it gets past you, I ain't seeing it when it goes in the back of the net.
Correct.
But the biggest thing, ultimately, we say it time and time again, and allow me to say it for the umpteenth time, if you are a keeper, you cannot be beat on your near post.
Well,
if you are beat on your near post, it is always on you.
So I saw you say this in the comments of his post on our closed group, Drunken United FC, which everyone should join because that's where 99% of the shit talk happens, and it's a lot of fun. What I would say to that point is specifically on free kicks, your wall is supposed to be covering that area for you, right? And as close as that ball was to the 18, you have somebody lay down behind the wall, which gives your wall the ability to jump because now you have the floor covered, right? And if everybody's 6'2" and up, which most of them are, when they jump, there's no way he can clear their heads and get the ball down before
up and down
over the wall before the crossbar if they're able to jump, right? So somebody in that wall's got to take responsibility. If Matt Turner can't see it, to either communicate with him, he's moved it, or just go, take a half step left, which is all they had to do, and then somebody would have been there to block it.
Yeah.
But they didn't. And by the time, because when you set us up, even in indoor, we covered your near post, and you took the far post.
Right.
Because that gives you more time to react, and you can have a better sight line on the ball. And if you got beat at your near post on a free kick specifically, that is our fault. Because as a wall, we didn't do our job.
Fair enough. I'll
Right?
give you that.
In that specific situation, that's where I disagree with you. Right? And it was, yes, he didn't do the right thing, but it was also a failure of responsibility on both the Brentford wall and Matt Turner that somebody either didn't notice it was happening, didn't communicate it was happening, and didn't call it out to the referee that he did it.
Right. Fair enough.
So it was a failure on all sides, on everyone's part except Ivan Toney. It's just a nefarious win, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
With you. I'm going to change my second point because I've got a different opinion of it now from what we were talking about before. There really hasn't been much of a Nuno bump. Like they got, the draw and the win, but now a couple of losses in a row. I say time to be worried. Do we wonder if the recent violations have got them as players nervous or concerned, where unlike we take the other example, Everton, where it galvanized them and made them just go, fuck you.
So what I would say about that point specifically is when this happened to Everton, they had their full complement of players.
Right. This team does not.
This team does not. And I warn you, we've already seen their dip in form under Steve Cooper happened when Awoniyi went out. He's got Chris Wood scoring goals for fun. He's got 4 goals in 5 games or something.
Yeah, he does. And by the way, that goal that he scored was about as Chris Wood could ever Chris Wood.
Oh,
I mean, that is like
100%.
Like little looping ball to the big boy heads it right into the fucking near
and
post.
then go celebrate at the camera that it probably doesn't know is a camera because he looks like a fucking Neanderthal. His eyes are too close together. He's got a big ass forehead.
Well, that big ass forehead put it in the back of the net.
And he's a Kiwi, so it sounds like I feel bad for New Zealanders and Australians in this respect. Do you know how, like, in this country, if you have like a southern twang and you're a guy, you kind of sound dumb?
Right.
Is that people associate that as a stereotype?
A little, yeah.
I feel like, if you come up and you're an Italian and you just, you speak it like this, and it's kind of sexy.
Right.
If you're the Frenchman, you kind of just, you make women fall to their knees because you are so romantic.
Right.
Or Spanish, the same, kind of thing. I feel like, or Germans, it just kind of instills fear or is uber sexual.
Right.
Only one of two ways. There's no in between with the German either. I feel like the Australians are the rednecks of the world, if that makes sense. And the New Zealanders, same way. Oh, yeah, crikey, mate. Yeah. They just sound like a fucking backwoods. And that's not a criticism. It's just a stereotype that I think's funny. And it doesn't help when you look like Chris Wood.
No, very fair. Very fair. So,
he's got a big, dumb face.
So, continuing, do we think that the possibility of the points reduction hanging over their head is fucking with them at all? Or?
I don't think so. I think the performances are better under Nuno without Awoniyi than they were under Cooper.
Very fair.
It seems like he's found an adjusted system to cope with not having that particular player available to him. And I think that's a positive thing. And I think they will work out what's going on. I mean, the one game they lost because of the ridiculous red card call. I mean, that's absurd. They should have 3 more points on the board than they do.
Right.
Or 2 more points on the board. I think they drew that game. It's just fucking stupid. That's just a criticism of refereeing. And I know it's a Gary O'Neill kind of specific reference to count the points you would have had referees done their job appropriately. But that's a glaring error by the referees that really cost Forest in that situation.
They're even on points with Palace if that's the case.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Which I don't know that you would have framed the question the same way necessarily if that was the case.
So massive win for the Bees. Do you think they sell Toney? I'm starting to be in your camp and say they won't just because they need him too much.
They will this summer.
Yeah, they will this summer, but they ain't selling them in January.
I don't think unless somebody comes in
wants to be sold,
which he did.
He ain't getting sold.
Which he did. Yeah. A week after he gave the "I'm really committed to the Brentford calls because they've stuck behind me" and blah 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 speech. A week later, they were like, "So, you're linked with a lot of clubs," and he was like, "Oh, I'd love to make a move." 2 days before the game, it was like fucking weird, man.
West Ham and Sheffield United. There really wasn't much in this match until the 90th minute, and then oh shit, they were was a lot in this match.
There was a lot going on. The opening goal was a bit fortunate. Start there. I think Cornet reacted well to the deflection and kept his composure. I thought it was a bit strange he chose to go with his left foot and in the manner that he did. That was, I don't know. His body shape said different to what actually happened.
Yeah, fair.
And I found it kind of boggling for a moment. But, West Ham, they have to react better when their goalkeeper makes a, frankly, fantastic save. Sometimes you're not going to be able to parry the ball wide. Sometimes you just have to do everything you can to get your hand on it.
Right.
And that ball went back into the danger zone, and a West Ham player was closer to it, right? Just around the penalty spot. To allow a Sheffield United player, and his name is actually quite hard to pronounce.
Brereton Diaz.
Yeah, but it's spelled like Brereton, which sounds like the knockoff version of Bridgerton.
So I'm going to throw a little something at you. You know who that is?
No.
That is the guy who went to Spain we got him from Villarreal.
I know he played for Villarreal.
He was the one that was the big time goal scorer for 2 seasons straight in the championship with Blackburn. The one who was scoring all the goals.
Yeah.
And everybody thought that, like,
now that rings a bell.
Everybody thought that he was going to go up to the Prem, and then when they had their massive crash out on the final day, remember they
shit the bed. Yeah.
Had the lead twice, lost it, got beat badly,
and didn't make the playoffs as a result.
And then he got sold to Villarreal. Because nobody in the Prem really ultimately offered enough money for him. So
this was a Premier League debut goal for him.
Yes, it is.
And he had a hell of a miss later on as well.
So,
but as a West Ham defender, to not react to that ball that's coming to you, and you're looking at the save that happened in front of you, facing your own net, to not be able to react and hook that ball away and dilly-dally that badly. Now, he did very well, obviously, to nick the ball away and then to find the composure to keep it on target in this instance. But I think that's piss poor.
Yeah.
Absolutely piss poor defending for that. And I don't think enough people were pulling them up on that.
Right. Well,
from everything I've listened to. That's just absolutely pitiful.
Into the extra time, into the 90 injury time part of it, the 90 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, just stupid from Brewster. Just a stupid fucking.
There's a lot of times we'll talk about forwards tackles, right? And usually they're just dumb, and you're like, they're just not good at tackling because they're forwards and they don't have to do it often, and a little rush of blood to the head, and that's it. This looked intentional, and it looked like it was fucking premeditated murder.
Right, a rush of blood to the head, but don't go in hard. And it's whenever you see a striker going super hard, it's like, oh, that's not going to go well.
He was two-footed.
Yeah.
He left his right leg. He saw what the player was doing. If you watch the replay, the slow-motion replay they played afterwards, he saw what he was doing, left his right leg where it was, knowing it was going to connect with his leg, and you see his left leg go out to take the ball that he just kicked.
Yep.
Right? You could see the deliberate and real movement that he made. He went two-footed, and then that leg comes out, and he left that right leg where it was. That's completely intentional, and I think he should be given a couple extra games. Lucky he didn't break whoever's leg. I can't remember who it was.
And then fucking
was it on Cresswell or somebody, wasn't it?
And then Sufal. You're literally in the final minute. And your dumbass just makes the normal kind of in the middle of the field, slow down the play kind of foul, but you're already on a yellow. And it was clearly a yellow card.
Wasn't when they went to argue with Brewster,
he got a yellow for that.
That's where he got the yellow.
And then he got the yellow for fucking going hard on someone.
I think the second yellow was a little harsh, to be honest with you. But he put himself in a position to give the referee a decision to make.
Just don't do that, dude.
You can't do that. How many times do we say
that much of the time of the game is left?
And I think part of it was the altercation still in the referee's mind. So even though he didn't make that much contact, the Sheffield United player obviously milked it.
But it was also
what contact there was.
Deliberate hard foul to stop
I don't
play.
think it was that hard is what I'm saying. I think what he did was put himself in a position that gave the referee a decision to make. What he's doing there, though, and the referee still has a sour taste from 3 minutes ago when you were the first one to the fray.
Yep.
And it looks like that you're trying to get a retribution tackle in, even though I don't think there was that much contact.
Yeah. And then you go even further because of that send off, there's now more time added to the game, right?
And also you're back to even Steven.
And Alphonse Areola came out hard, and I'm going to say ultimately I think it's a foul. It is. He came out too reckless in it all, right? You typically give a goalie a little liberty if they're going for the ball, right? We talked about this last week. Make it look like you're trying to make a fucking save, which I think he was. He was trying to get ball first, but he ultimately got him. And I feel that I
want to know how he ended up bleeding, though.
Yeah.
Well, because that sounds to me like Ollie McBurney threw another elbow and probably should have been set off.
Bleeding and concussed because you had to bring in Fabianski to fucking face the penalty. And honestly, not a very good penalty from McBurney. And you wonder.
And Fabianski apparently has a better record than Areola against penalties.
But also, Areola was warm. Fabianski literally came on to face a penalty.
Yeah, I mean, he was warm because of the 98.6 degree blood that was flowing out of his face.
Right. But you wonder if that shot's taken against Areola. Does maybe Areola save that penalty?
No, because he didn't know where he was, apparently. He was concussed and bleeding.
And then you come back again. And on the other side, you don't call a penalty. The excuse from the PGMOL is fucking horseshit. They said, well, they were both grabbing each other's jerseys. That's fine. Bowen's watching the ball come in that he's trying to head. The defender doesn't even know where the ball is. Defender is like a lineman in football. He's got his hands on him and he's fucking taking him to the ground.
So I heard this described as a Goldberg spear, basically.
He wasn't even looking at, how can you know what? I don't care if fucking Bowen's got him by the front of his shirt and smacking his fucking face around. You know what? That guy ain't even paying attention to the play. Yeah. He is literally just tackling him to the ground. How you do not call that is baffling to me.
Speaking of Blackburn references, since you brought one up earlier, that was a Robbie Savage tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, yes.
Who was a much better rugby player than he was a football player. Problem is, he never played for a rugby team.
and Moyes at the end of the match he was like,
he was incensed.
Well, he was like, well, I can't talk about it because there's people watching and those people do things. So, what am I supposed to say? If I say something, I get fined.
Exactly right. I was just about to say that's Jose Mourinho again. Also, by the way, since we've mentioned him now a couple times, R.I.P. Jose Mourinho's job. He got sacked as Roma manager this weekend.
Graham, one rumor I heard he's always wanted to coach a international team. USA, right there.
Oh yeah, big time.
Put it.
I'd welcome it. I would fucking welcome it.
And also, fire Berhalter. Don't care if you gave him an extension. Hire Jose right now. You might actually win the World Cup.
No shit. I love everything about it. Problem is he's only 61 years old.
Yeah.
So he obviously has a ton of passion for it. And one of the other funny things I heard from a pundit today as I was listening to the radio is, how football is cyclical. Mm-hmm. It's only a matter of time, and I think he's doing really well to wait it out, that his style of football comes back into fashion again, and he'll just be unbeatable again.
Heard.
It's only a matter of time.
All right. Liverpool, Bournemouth. There's really not a ton to really talk about this game, despite all the goals. Dueling braces from both Jota and Nunez. So, good news. Who's going to score the goals while Salah's away?
I wouldn't bank on Nunez. I think this was a fluke. He's such a chaos merchant. It's not even funny.
When he scored the first one, I was just like, he's missed that easy shot at least 20 times. But the other thing is just came out today. What initially was thought to be going to be just a game or two for Mo to miss, which would have been the rest of AFCON.
Picked up an injury.
Looking like 30 days.
Picked up an injury, yeah.
So these guys scoring for them
it's massive.
It's fucking
massive. But
massive.
Didn't Diaz go off hurt as well in this game?
I think he did, yeah.
So that is concerning as well, because he does a lot of work down that left. Now, Cody Gakpo's there, and Cody Gakpo, I really appreciate the work he puts in, even though he doesn't get a ton of goals, and I think he creates space for other players, Cody Gakpo. But Jota, the comical bit of this entire thing was obviously his horrific miscue that would have ended up behind him had he not reacted to it so quickly.
Yep. That one. Oh shit! Still in front of me.
Well, he swung at it, and the ball just kind of carooned up with. You saw the backspin, but he was able to. He saw it the whole way and just immediately pivoted and reacted faster than the Sheffield United players did. Got a touch to it and then fired it into the far corner.
The Cherries offered very little after the first half. The first half they looked decent,
played pretty well,
but then after that they really didn't offer much.
There just wasn't many chances for them, man. It was, That being said, I think Virgil van Dijk and Konate, especially Ibrahima Konate, played very fucking well.
Yeah.
I think about that the one tackle he had at the edge of the 18, maybe just between the 18 and the penalty spot. I think Van Dijk got outdone by a cutback, but Konate was there, slid in, went over the ball but didn't make contact with the player. His leg was wide enough, and then was able to kind of from the floor clear the ball.
Yep.
And Van Dijk, I mean, the way that they celebrated was like they scored a goal, and Van Dijk was leading those celebrations because he saved his blushes.
Yeah,
I think, and he knew it.
Yeah.
And Liverpool wouldn't have been as comfortable if they were without those two. And I think those two, that's the most comfortable they look together that I've seen.
Give it up to the kid, by the way, that started in the place of Alexander-Arnold from the injury. Looked like just part of the furniture. Did his job. Had a couple of nice crosses. Didn't look bad at all. And the other thing, because Russ criticizes me for not saying anything nice about Liverpool. Perfect answer. City won a big game last week, coming from behind and beating Newcastle. You guys put a thumping on Palace. Great fucking answer.
Yeah.
That is exactly the answer you need to be giving Liverpool. If it's going to be you're going to win the title, which they have every right to be there.
They have a 5-point lead on City right now.
And they're in it. They fucking like the midfield is a little erratic, but it's there. It's all the bones are there, and you got to give credit to a fucking quality coach that knows what he's fucking doing.
Absolutely.
If you got to be like, this team could definitely do it. And this was exactly the kind of result you needed to have, especially after the results the people directly around you just had.
Exactly. And I'll always say this about Klopp too, and I say this about a lot of managers as well. Not most of them aren't as honest to say Ange, right? Which is hard for me to say because he's obviously Spurs manager,
right? To
give him any credit, but he does go, yeah, we just weren't good enough, but we're going to keep doing what we do, and this is what we do, right? He said that multiple times this season when they were going on their slide when everybody was hurt,
right?
But what Klopp does is kind of the old school Wenger, Mourinho, Alex Ferguson kind of mentality of I'm going to deflect attention away from my team. And that is as much of a tactic as making a substitution in the 68th minute.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So now it's great for us because it gives us material when he says things like, it was too windy today.
Right.
Or something doesn't come off correctly because of his English being a second language. He doesn't know how the ref because he shouldn't ref because he's never played the game. He's never played the game. He's not a proper football man. I mean, that plays right into talk sport. I think he's lining himself up a punditry role when he retired.
Oh, absolutely.
But my point is he plays that very, very well. He does that part of the game very, very well. We used to call them mind games, right? When Alex and Wenger and Mourinho were all three at the peak of their powers at the same time.
Yeah,
and they were all going after each other. But Wenger's famous thing was, I haven't even seen it. I have to look back at a replay, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Right, exactly.
And then, Mourinho would make up whatever shit he would make up to take the pressure off his players. And then Alex Ferguson would do the same thing and mainly call out referees for their performance, regardless of what happened on the field or what the events that transpired were. Klopp does that very well. Again, the English being a second language and the kind of ridiculousness of some of the things he says makes our jobs very easy. But he's doing that on purpose. I mean, that's a real thing and part of a great thing as a coach that he does.
All right. And then the final game, and I'm going to adjust a little bit here. The biggest thing for Wolves, Neto is back.
Yeah.
Like that's huge. And you already saw what
He's a
Neto
poor man's Martinelli.
was doing with the work rate of Cunha. Like Cunha just runs fucking everywhere,
Yeah.
right? And for a guy who is the pass, that make the moves happen, he loves to see a guy that's going to run all day.
But he also likes to run himself. I mean, he chases a lot of lost causes himself as well.
I'm interested to see.
And I think he plays the wings a bit better than Cunha does, too.
When Wang gets back from the Asia Cup, like the three of them together,
that's going to be
that's a dangerous little front line right there.
Well, you saw the first two, 3 games of the season. Wolves put in fantastic performances. Were hard done by the referee at Old Trafford, but that was before Neto got hurt. Mm-hmm. They were excellent. I thought they were excellent.
And I would say this 0-0 game had chances, man. There were opportunities on both ends of the fucking pitch.
Listen, so the way Wolves set up was like West Ham did at Arsenal a couple weeks ago. And Brighton played into that by playing very slow, just like Arsenal did.
Yeah.
They didn't move the ball quickly enough. There were 1 or 2 counterattack chances, but for the most part, the game was played across the back line. Mm-hmm. And then way too often, they went back to Jason Steele to reset. You're never going to break a team down like that, putting 10 behind the ball.
Nope.
And it was, which is why Wolves only had like 29% of the ball. But Wolves had the better of the chances in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there were 2, maybe 3. Now, João Pedro had 1 or 2 shots on target. Maybe could have done better with the first one.
Yeah. At the end of the match when he had the ball on his foot, on his left, and he had to cut it back, and then 5 guys stood in front of the ball. It was like...
Well, that's because it was his third cutback. By that point,
I
think they know what you're going to do.
Yeah, he just needed to let that ball, because he's right in the middle of the goal,
and
too.
Evan Ferguson was standing on the edge of the 18. He's got a very good record striking the ball from there.
Yeah, precisely.
Poke it out to him.
But did get a little feisty there at the end of the first half.
So I thought Wolves played this very physically. I thought it was kind of feisty the entire time.
Yeah.
They didn't do much to try to get out of the way of anything, really.
Yeah. Well, you had the Dawson. For me, Dawson was just trying to walk over top of him. Now he was purposely walking over top of him.
No, I think
but it wasn't like he was trying to step on him.
His was more of a dick move than the other one. I think it was Cunha and Billy Gilmore.
Yeah. Yep.
But Totti was a dickhead a couple times, giving some extra body. I think to Billy Gilmore, if I remember correctly.
Honestly, it's what you do to a team like Brighton.
Well, right. I mean, again, I hate, because y'all always accuse me of bringing it back to Arsenal, but again, it's just what I know.
Ugly it.
Well, bully it up, exactly. To try to bully them because they play too pretty. And
most of your
and it would affect
unexpected dropped points this season, like to West Ham and to Fulham, were because
slow it down and make it gross.
And they made it. And then and then it took a worldie to beat us at Goodison.
Yep.
And that whole game we uglied it up, and you didn't really have chances, and that's what it is.
Well, to take a line from one of the pundits I listen to a lot, Andy Brassel, over in England. If this game happened in my back garden, I would have shut the blinds.
Sure money.
I lost again.
You had a fighter's.
I had everything.
I had myself muted. My cough button.
You muted. I had myself muted. Why does it sound like a Bond villain?
You were in it. You told me today. You were like, my bet's still live. I was like,
that's the curse of death.
No way in hell Brighton's getting points out of this one. No way they're getting all 3. That's gonna fuck off. So what do you got for the Dort Spirek Cup of Losers?
Aren't seagulls the most annoying of the birds? Fucking seaside flying rats.
Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. God damn it.
So yeah,
I'm sorry. Just so I could be done, I'm now down $747.
Fabulous. I had too much faith in 2 road dogs, so I am now down $439.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
I actually wrote down the wrong number. It's actually 19, not 10. I remembered the number very specifically, but 19.047619% of the time.
19er.
It's right 100% of the time. I have I learned a lesson in Doublades and the bees.
Nice.
See what I did there? See what I did there?
Nice.
Yours
very proud
was
of
a bird,
himself.
and then I did a bees.
I have a question.
It's the best when he giggles at his own jokes.
It was
It
a
is.
well-written joke, thank you. He does it all the time with his fucking dad jokes.
Well, the question there would be: is they're both phallus-shaped things, the bee stinger and the blade?
Yeah,
So
just
who's
kind
the
of pokey. Show title.
You just got a
No.
pokey.
No.
It can't be pokey. Pokey's a great show title.
No.
You got better options?
If I was a betting man.
Okay, I could go with that one.
Ah, that's pretty funny.
The second it came out of your mouth, I knew there would be nothing
I
funnier.
say for this 1 week only, we ditch the theme tune and do the Undertaker's music just like Brentford did. That's so weird, man.
Yeah, weird.
It's not like he was like out for a year with a horrific leg break or something. He got in trouble. He was banned for betting. That's so strange.
Here's something
I don't
to
get
know.
it.
It was a heel
is
turn.
Kitty is on a slide. She has now lost 3 in a row and sits at 12-8.
Wow. Okay. Sorry, you're winning still. You fucking-
Yeah, unlike us who lose constantly.
No
That's
shit.
going to wrap it up. Mr. Graham, any parting words?
Yeah, a few. Sucks that I have to do this. And one, I honestly, I didn't write it down because I heard about it as I was driving over here. But in the championship, maybe might have been League One. There was a player racially abused again. And then in Italy, there was another in the top flight, Milan and whoever Milan played this weekend. There was the Milan goalkeeper who I thought was Olivier Giroud. It's not.
Hold on here. Italy, there was racism. For the live audience, allow me to show you my surprise face.
Yeah. Was also racially abused. And it just shows again that it's alive and well, and which is fucking annoying. And what I think is a lot of what I've heard being echoed around is there needs to be some sort of very severe punishment and collective responsibility. I know most people agree that it is a subset of a football club's fan base that are racist, not the entire stadium, which is usually true. I take that point. It might be 7 people out of the 20,000 that are there. But until the punishment is severe, what point does anybody have to crack down on it properly?
Don't let your fans come to the stadium for a game.
Well, not even that. More than that. Dock them points.
Yeah.
Dock them fucking points. Relegate them.
Make it affect their.
Make that game a forfeit.
Especially
you
when we-
forfeited. That is a 3-0 loss now.
Especially when we talk about points being deducted, like in the case of
Of finances and
right?
other shit.
You're like, that's not fair to the fans. Well, this would be directly at
Because
the fans.
of the fans.
Be like, oh, you fucked off?
Yeah.
Your team just lost
Right.
points because of that.
Control your fans and keep them out of the stadium. The tech is there. You very often you're able to identify people that threw stuff or did this. So identify the people that yelled the racist stuff.
Excellent.
Figure
Very
it
good.
out. Hire more stewards. Excuse me. Do whatever you got to do. Do any of that kind of crap. It's really sad, and there has to be something severe that happens, or nothing's ever going to be done about it. It's sickening at this stage that this stuff still exists. It's as we saw with Alphonse Areola, we all bleed red, man.
Yeah, heard.
You know what
Very
I'm saying?
True.
Full
Very
circle
true.
moment there.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, everybody. If you're on the live stream, you want to hear us do the EFL show, we're going to do it right after this. We're going to take a quick break. But, of course, we also have Injury Time. And Injury Time this week, everybody, another Christmas present is going to be free to everyone because we are going to be talking about the FA Cup.
4th round, yep.
Yep, got to be doing that as well.
Threw up a couple fun matchups as well.
But if somebody wanted to find Patreon to listen to everything else we do, Sam, how do they go about doing it?
At runyay.com. Actually, it's at patreon.com/dfootball show. Just sign up to that $5 tier. You get all the extras that Sam just talked about, as well as a few other extras that nobody really knows unless you're a part of it.
Excellent. Until next week, everybody.
Good night.
Under an hour. Fuck yeah.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch you in the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston.
Sam Houston.
Arsenal fans have another say. fucking Gooner Graham. Smells of my lord. Looks great in shorts. Sam Graham, hey.
Sam Graham.
Brooklyn United! Brooklyn United! Hit the fucking mute button!